So, welcome to another episode of the Cerini Nonprofit Leadership Series. I'm Ken Cerini, your host, and today we're diving into a topic that truly sits at the heart of every successful nonprofit: building a strong organizational culture in mission-driven organizations. Culture isn't just about workplace environment, it's about how an organization lives and breathes its mission every single day. It influences everything from leadership and decision making to staff engagement and long-term sustainability. I'm excited today to be joined by Robert Ciatto, President and CEO of ACLD. Robert brings a wealth of experience leading a complex organization dedicated to supporting individuals with developmental disabilities, and has a deep understanding of what it takes to build, sustain, and evolve a strong organizational culture. Robert, thank you for joining me today. Really looking forward to the conversation.
Glad to be here.
Thanks. Jumping into the first question. So, how do you define organizational culture in a mission-driven organization like ACLD?
We simply break it down into many little steps and as how we define it. First and foremost, the first step is making sure that everybody feels that they have a voice. Everybody feels that they're being listened to. That kind of sets the tone of the initial culture you want to set across the board. Because we are a complex organization, we have over 1,350 staff in over 100 locations. Communicating and making sure that people feel like they have a voice is a very, very big obstacle for us. So making sure we have meetings and outlets for them to display that voice, listening to them, and then giving them the feedback on what they're saying is how we initially define the tone we want to set. That nobody in the organization is better than anybody else, that we're all here for one reason, and that is the mission.
That opens up several questions. I mean, you talked about communication, everything else. One of the things that we see or hear all the time is that, nonprofit organizations have a greater turnover rate than for-profit businesses. And the main reason for that is because there's lack of communication from management down to staff. Nobody's really asking or understanding what role people want to play within an organization. And people don't always know that there's advancement opportunities for them. So how do you kind of build that strong communication network? How do you said you give your staff a voice. How do you go about giving them a voice in an organization?
We have multiple ways that we get that information out. I mean, I go back in the field when there were no cell phones and even no email. It was writing a memo and delivering it, hand delivering it to people. So I go that far back, and with technology nowadays, it makes it a lot easier to, number one, communicate. Number one, to get feedback. So we run every single gambit of any type of mode that we can get out to the staff, from setting up Zoom calls, town halls, voicemails, letters, robocalls, text messaging. I would never think that I would be communicating with 1,300 staff via text messaging, but we do that, here at ACLD. I am an old school guy. I like to get out there. I like to physically meet with people. Obviously, with Zoom and Teams, it makes it a lot easier to get out. But all of my administrative staff are an extension of the full leadership of this organization. So it doesn't necessarily always have to be me to get out to the locations. It could be an extension of everybody else. So we find the multiple ways to communicate. We find the most extensive way is really to try to do it as in person as we can, whether it be by Zoom, in person, going to the actual facilities. We go out to the facilities. I think it sends a strong message to the staff that not only are we listening to you, we want to give you the message, but we want to do it in your home environment, in the environment that you want us to see when you're expressing an issue or a concern. So we can get a really good understanding of what you're going through, what you're asking, or what you're recommending. So we run all those different types of communications, and it's proven to be effective. Here at ACLD, our turnover percentage continues to drop each year. Last year's turnover percentage was about 17% across the agency, which dropped from about 22%. It was hovering around 22% for about 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
So obviously, I want it to be zero, but I will take improvements. And to me, if you drop 1%, it's 100% improvement.
Yep. So you talk about, leadership and, again, going back to, I'm an accountant, so I'm going to talk statistics as often as I can. One of the things they say is that the way business operates today, people no longer are dedicated to a business. They're dedicated to a management team or leadership. So they follow a leader because they feel that that leader is effective or whatever. So how does your leadership help build the cultural environment that's established at ACLD? I know you talked about, going out and visiting sites, but what else or what are they really doing in terms of functioning as the glue that holds ACLD together from a cultural perspective?
Well, for me, I started out in this field 33 years ago as a DSP, right out of college. I've held and supervised every department in an organization. So I bring a lot of different experiences to the table when I do meet with people, whether that be in person, on Zoom calls, in forums and staff meetings, via letters. And I think that that helps set the tone that people understand that the person that is leading the organization actually did their job, actually understands what it means to run an ADL program or help someone in the bathroom or make sure that all the maintenance work orders are getting done or make sure that all the children in the school program are getting everything in their IEP, what it says. So that helps me deliver a good message. I go to every orientation training for our new hires, and I introduce myself and I tell them a little bit about my journey and my history. But I do it also alongside with people that we support that come into that training and show and tell those people, those new prospective employees, what difference they're going to make in their lives as they're talking about it. So setting that tone and making sure that people understand that I'm no better than anybody else. I was in your very seat 30 plus years ago. If I could be up here, you can be up here. All you have to do is take advantage of the opportunities that present itself and also utilize your resources. And the resources that we have here at the organization are expansive to everybody here. So I talk a lot about the resources and their ability to access those resources, which helps set that kind of culture and lead by that example that anybody can come in, anybody could get an education, anybody can have an idea, anybody could communicate. I talk a lot about when I was a clinician and I wrote behavior programs and how the best behavior program I ever written was written by everybody, that it's a team effort. So really getting that point across that number one, I understand your job because I did it. Number two, I understand the department you're in because I oversaw it. Number three, without the feedback from you and the feedback from all the other ancillary aspects that make up that person, that program, what have you, it's never going to work unless you do it collaboratively together. But the most important thing that I try to exemplify with setting the culture is you have to be consistent. And your delivery in your message, in your follow-up, in your accountability, it needs to be consistent across the board. And that helps set the tone for everybody. In addition, we try to make sure that it's a good, fun environment to be in. That it's, yeah, we're here for the mission and we're here to make sure we meet all the regs and doing all our billing requirements and making sure that our finances and everything. But it's also an opportunity for people to get to know each other, to really come together for a cause, to make it an environment where you want to be. We don't want people to work at ACLD because they have to pay their rent. We want people to work at ACLD, number one, because they buy it in the mission, and number two, because they think it's a really great place to be, and it's a culture that they want to be part of. And that culture is
Awesome.
set
Yeah.
by all of them. Every little idea that they have, we try to incorporate into anything that we do. And when we do that, we make sure we over communicate it.
That's awesome. Again, and you and I have talked before, and there's a lot of similarities to our styles in terms of how we manage and how we lead. So this is great. I feel like I'm talking to myself sometimes when I talk to you.
That's great.
But when we kind of think about like the next generation, right? So we got this generational change in employees as we continue to get older. We have this generational change in employees. How have you had to kind of retrain your leadership team in order to um, get them to be able to work effectively with the new generation of employees?
That's a great question. I'm very fortunate to have three other lead administrators with me, and then a director level of about 12. So about 18 of us make up the top leadership group of the organization. And we are all actually around the same age. So we all have children that are between the ages of 17 and 25. I have a 21-year-old son. And as you can imagine, he is that generation that you're actually talking about.
Hmm.
So the way me and my wife have parented my son through the pandemic and through his college experiences and things like that is very similar to how we work with the newer, younger generation that are coming in. So those experiences that we've had personally have helped us professionally on how we deal with certain things. Looking at things from their eyes as compared to your eyes is a huge aspect of that. Putting yourself in their position as a new, younger employee with different styles of learning, listening, comprehending, that I get through working with my son and my coworkers get with their children helps that bridge that gap. So there's a lot of things that we bring in from our personal lives into the professional lives that help bridge that gap of working with this younger generation. The main thing is being able to adapt to it. I have a lot of great colleagues in this field that are a little bit older than me. And sometimes it's harder for people to adapt because they've been doing it one way for 40 years or 50 years. Knowing that you have to adapt, utilizing your experiences personally on how you're adapting in your home life as well as this professional life definitely helps with that transition. Um, Breaking things down even further, one of the experiences that I've learned is, sitting through 7 hours worth of orientation training in a row is really not the way to go. It may have worked 20 years ago or even 30 years ago, but the attention span of people, the aspect of what their expectations are. We live in an environment now with the younger generation that has more need for immediate gratification, more need for, I need to do it in the most simplistic, quickest way, the most easy and accessible way, helps mold how you work with people. So we have taken a lot of the things that we have done here at ACLD and have turned them upside down. All right. It's great that we have this 60-minute presentation, but we can probably get the message done in 20. How can we mold that to meet the expectations and the different characteristics of the younger people coming in? Everybody, one of the things that we've done is, instead of making a phone call to people, we send out text messaging, right? We send out robocalls. We send out things that they have accessible, to them. And that's the difference in the culture. But what's also important to do is make sure that the older people still have that connection with you. So when we talk about culture and we talk about the younger generation of people coming in and how do we adapt, you can't lose sight of the fact that you still have older people there. And no matter what change you make, it has to be amenable for both parties. We put a lot of resources into diversity, equity, and inclusion to help set up our culture. We had a wonderful speaker that we hired come in and do a 2-hour training in 3 different sessions on multi-generational behavior with hiring people and working within your culture of your organization. And she related to not only the younger generation, but the older generation. And she helped bridge that gap in a really nice, easy way that was fun. People understood. I got more compliments from DSPs and people that were part of that training because she was very relatable and the topic was relatable. So it's always thinking outside the box that way that helps bridge a lot of those gaps. But again, you still have to be consistent and you still have to hold people accountable.
Right. Now, you mentioned that ACLD provides its services across 100 different locations, which, when you have one location, it's much easier to maintain a certain culture. When you have 100 different locations, it's much harder to keep that culture going. How do you ensure that staff daily work aligns with your mission and values, especially across, again, all your diverse programs and locations?
Well, it starts from the very top. It actually starts from our board. We have a program and a procedure set up that the board of directors, each of them go out to visit sites, whether that be the day programs or the residential programs, and they go out and they send that message across the board about what the mission is. We then take it from that board and we have our director level, we have our administrative level. In the summertime, I have all of the support departments, our finance team, our HR team, our development team, our IT team go out and do visits to all of the homes. So even though we're in 100 locations, we still have enough people to get out and send that same message across the board. I myself get to 3 to 4 residential homes a month. I get to our preschools once or twice a month. I get to our apartment program once a month. But I have all those other people that also do that. So as long as the message is consistent across the board from an administrative, even up to the board perspective, it helps navigate those 100 locations. We have town hall meetings every quarter where 100 to 200 people jump on with me 4 or 5 different times within that week, all different times. So we make sure we try to get as many staff from all different, because residential is 24 hour. So
Mhm.
that combining with getting out there, combining with even our maintenance team going out there and doing report cards of the homes and meeting with the staff of from a physical plant perspective, that everybody gets involved is how we gather all of that information. And then we're able to provide all that information, assess it, and get whatever out else we need to do from that. So it's not easy. I mean, I wish I could be in 100 locations at the same time. But the system that we have now has worked. I think it's worked in the statistics of our hiring, of our retention. We just did an employee engagement survey last year, which we scored relatively well compared to other not-for-profits that are our size. We did that about 5 years ago, and we increased our satisfactory by 10% in the
Oh,
last
nice.
5 years. So I like to utilize a lot of statistics. I'm a numbers guy too, um, more from a clinical perspective. So I like to utilize that kind of stuff, but it's got to be done consistently. And to me, if you're a leader of an organization, it's important for you to understand the pulse of the organization. And though you may get a lot of information, you don't understand the pulse if you're just sitting in your office every day. You got to get out there. You got to be out there and you got to listen and you got to utilize the team you have.
Hmm.
And the way I utilize the team is I'm always meeting with them. I'm always having staff meetings. I'm always involved in even meetings with the directors that are running our vocational services or running our preschools. That's why I like to get out there because I can gather that information. And by gathering that information, I'm almost at those locations. I'm almost in those departments. So I'm cerebrally in 100 locations as much as I can be based on meetings and asking questions and again creating a light environment too. And it could be just as simple as I know that someone had a baby and they just got their baby baptized. So hey, how was the baptism this weekend? It's things like that to make it more of a humanistic approach that has been working for us. It's
Right.
not perfect, don't get me wrong. We're not perfect. We have things every day. Um, but getting that feedback from staff is how we do these things. We didn't set it out this way to start. We have evolved based on the feedback and the information we received. And I think that that's important because it's not a one size fits all model.
Right.
You always have to evolve everything you're doing.
And you're going to continue to evolve because the work environment, the staff that you're working with, the technology and systems, that's all evolving. So if you can't evolve around it all, then again, as you said, it becomes difficult.
Technology has assisted organizations to be able to be more involved, whether people utilize it or not. It has been a proven tool for us to be able to outreach to people, from that perspective, whether that be from the medical aspect of utilizing something like a Station MD to do telehealth visits or a Zoom or a Teams platform to be able to sit down and see people on a computer screen. So we embrace that technology here and we try to utilize it to the best of our ability.
You talked earlier about the fact that you've seen decline over the last year in terms of your turnover rates. Um, what do you continue to do organizationally to improve that turnover? I know you said you'd like to get it down to zero someday, but what are you doing? What are the steps that, the organization is taking to kind of help to reduce that turnover?
So we do a lot of different initiatives here at ACLD. Um, First off, you have to find and put the resources behind the initiatives. When you are a $130 million organization like us, if you can't find $15,000 to be able to put behind an initiative that can outreach to 1,300 staff, then you're doing something wrong from that perspective. So we have something called a C3 committee, and that is a care, connection, culture committee that has a representative from every single part of our organization, our school program, our residential program, our day program, our administrative program, our support departments, etc. So that, care, connection, culture committee really is an extended voice of everybody else. So we do a lot of things like, Staff Appreciation Week, Nurses Week, all the normal generic things that everybody does. But then we have a lot of activities centered around diversity, equity, and inclusion, potluck lunches across the agency, where people just are not bringing in a dish from their culture. They're actually reviewing what is in that dish and the ingredients and teaching people how to make it if they're interested in that kind of stuff. But we only not only involve our staff, we involve the people that we support. We are very happy that we supply jobs for about 59 individuals that we support that live with us or attend our programs. They're part of that culture. They're part of that commu communication and that community. So one, getting back to people when they're coming to you and asking you for help or questions, providing all these little fun activities that we kind of do, getting the ideas from them and then cultivating those ideas because when people see that you're implementing the idea that they came up with, them and their friends are jumping right in you know. We also put a big emphasis here on longevity. We have a quarter of a century club where every year anybody that's 25 years and plus gets a lunch and they get a nice little gift from us. And every year that group builds and builds and builds and builds as they continue to stay within the organization. So we do a lot of little things like that. We do the holiday parties, we do a lot of different activities. We have something called a summer kickoff event that is actually a fundraiser for the organization. We partner with the South Bay Brewery in Bayshore. Our preschools are in Bayshore. And that's a really low cost event. So a lot of our staff actually go to that. They don't want to go to the $500 gala, right? They want to go to the $50 all you can eat, all you can drink at a brewery with a couple people. And that actually provides a lot of outside of the office bonding for people. And you're side by side with the director of the program, having a drink, eating some wings, and just talking about what their lives are doing and what you're doing and all the great things like that. So we do a lot of that kind of stuff. And it starts with really getting out there and the feedback has been positive. A lot of the initiatives that we do have come from the feedback from like the C3 committee. It used to be called the Organizational Care Committee, but like anything that you do, you got to transform it. You got to revise it. And we interject different people onto these committees.
Right.
A lot of, I know in my experience, many, many years ago from the place I used to work and here, when you had a committee, it was the directors, right? Director of this person's going to be here. No, we don't do that. We want the DSPs. We want the accountant. We want the HR generalist. We want the person that we support that works at our front desk. Those are the people that we want to cultivate on these committees. It's a different outlook. And we mix them up because you get different perspectives. We do an employee of the quarter. We do all these little things. And what's cool about the employee of the quarter, it's a peer recognition. But when the committee selects the nominees, we go to their sites like the Prize Patrol, and we with shakers and everything, and we present them with that you're an employee of the quarter, and you're going to have a lunch with us and some of our board directors and everything. And then at that lunch, the people that nominated them get invited to and speak about them as why they were nominated. So it's things like that that people really seem to really like. And the reason why I can say that is because every quarter we get more and more nominations. So once you get the word out, you know, and it's something that people are interested in, it's like the town halls. When we first did that, we had 50, 60 people. Now we get 200. So that means we're at least going in the right direction, I think.
How do you kind of instill your mission and culture right from the beginning, right with the onboarding of a new staff member?
So the mission is about obviously everybody that we support. So that's why we have an individual that we support come and do on the first day a little bit about themselves, a little bit about what part of the agency they're from, and more importantly, what the staff that are now sitting in that very seat mean to them, mean to how they do the mission, how they accomplish to meet their goals. And I can tell you that when the staff members that are sitting there for the first time, when they meet the people that we support to really exemplify what the mission is to them and what they mean to the mission, everybody sits up a little bit more. Everybody has a bigger smile that, you know what? We're here for them. We're here to make a difference in their lives. And being able to do that and have them exemplify that is very, very important. So it starts right away when you first come in. It also starts prior to that because they're part of the interview process. So the mission is a whole bunch of words, right? But in reality, the mission is actually the person, and the person is different. So it's a different mission for everybody. In addition to that, I hold something called an ambassador group, where there's an individual that meets with me on a quarterly basis from every part of the organization, and we talk about certain things to make the organization better. And then they take that information and they meet with their staff, they meet with their peers. So it's an ongoing thing, not just from the onboarding process. It's throughout the year and hopefully throughout everybody's career that they're here. But it's been very, very impactful having our people go to orientation training, to the onboarding process, and really review what it means to them that they're there and that they accepted that job to be an ACLD team member.
When you hire people, do you hire based on ability, competency, all those things, or do you put, or let me rephrase it. How much emphasis do you put on cultural fit when you hire somebody?
It's a very big emphasis now. A lot of our initial interview questions are centered around the mission and how we're mission driven, but we interject cultural meaning behind that mission. What does it mean to you to be able to work in a home that has individuals that have these type of needs, that have staff members that come from these different backgrounds, that have staff members that are this age or different cultures? We ask a lot of those type of questions to kind of gauge how that person is. We really review initially that the organization is mission driven and what that mission is. So the generalists, when they're interviewing people or the staff that they're interviewing people, are kind of getting the answers from them from a perspective of how are they intertwining the mission into that answer. I don't want to say we're testing them, right? But you're asking them the questions. Hey, listen, we told you we're mission driven. This is our mission. This is what we put our emphasis on. Here's a question. How do you answer that question that kind of goes into what we just told you about us? And then you assess that. And for the most part, people pick up on that pretty easily, regardless of how old they are or how much experience they've had. And that's helped. We do emphasize how the culture is important here, how we want to make this a place where everybody feels accepted, everybody feels they have a voice, everybody feels that they could be heard or listened to when they're talking, or the ideas that they have, get the feedback on them. We kind of set that tone, and it's very important that we explain to people when we can't do certain things, why we can't do that. And that's something that's resonated pretty well with us.
Yeah, we're running low on time, so in the next two questions, I'm gonna shoot them out rapid fire.
Okay, sorry, I'm talking so much.
It's all good. 30 seconds. So you talked about a lot of the good things that are happening within your organization, but what's been one of the biggest challenges that you've had in maintaining that strong organizational culture that you've developed?
Outside of obviously state regs and federal regs and all that kind of stuff, it's just maintaining that consistency. You know, we've had a hard time getting up to capacity with our residential program since the pandemic. And with that comes a lot of different challenges. The people that you're taking in may be a little bit more difficult, a little bit harder to take care of for thousands of reasons, which has then made you put more money into training, more money into that consistency with the staff. And sometimes the staff have problems adapting to it.
Right. And then last question. So obviously you've talked about a lot of things and this has been great, but what's the one principle or practice that you would recommend to other nonprofit leaders trying to strengthen their culture? And how do you measure your success?
It's very important as the leader of the organization to be out there. It's very important to make sure that not only you are listening, that they think you're listening, or they know you're listening, or they perceive you as listening. So it's very, very important to be out, especially now as things get harder or potentially get harder in the world. Being there as a support is important. And I would recommend utilize your team members effectively. Uh, Make sure that you're all on the same page. If that means having a couple meetings to get the point across, and that's what it means, put the time and the effort into getting the message sent once. I revert back to my father-in-law, measure twice, cut once. And that's kind of what that we try to do is we'll meet 16 times and then we'll have that one meeting to get that message across because we've done it consistently that way.
Robert, I want to thank you. This was incredible. This was great. I think one of the biggest takeaways from the conversation is that culture doesn't happen by accident. It's intentional, and from, what you've talked about, it's about building strong leadership. It's about showing up. It's about all of those things that kind of help to set the tone from the beginning, set the tone throughout the organization, set the tone from the top all the way down to the bottom and up. So this was great. For nonprofit leaders listening today, building a strong culture is one of the most impactful investments you can make, not just for your team, but for the communities you serve. Thank you all for tuning in to the Cerini Nonprofit Leadership Series. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe and share it with your network. Until next time, I'm Ken Cerini. Thanks for listening.